This was about 3 years ago, before I was old enough to drive a car. I was over at my friend's house, who lives about 3 miles down the road from me. I stayed over for a while, but they fell asleep, so I decided to walk home. It was 2:30 a.m. Even though it was spring, it gets quite cold out after dark in New England, so I had a Carhartt jacket with me. I began my adventure back to my house, kind of apprehensive, but I wasn't too afraid. I live on a back road in a rural town in Massachusetts, so there wasn't much activity, if any, this late. After walking about a mile up the road, I started to feel hot, so I took off my Carhartt jacket and just held onto it instead. On my road, there's a lone streetlight, the only one on it. It lights up a lot of the road, so I get excited when I saw its light from a distance. As I approached the streetlight, I began to feel extreme discomfort. I was about 100 feet away from it. I stopped and took a glance over towards it. I could see the outline of 2 figures leaning against the streetlight, and I was positive one of the figures was smoking a cigarette, as I could see the smoke rising from where the figures were leaning. I was trying so hard not to let my mind fool me, so I shrugged it off as my mind just playing tricks. Passing the streetlight was the only way to get home, so I had to do it. I started walking again, with my head down, trying not to look at the streetlight or the 2 figures. When I was real close to the streetlight, I could hear laughing and giggling, as if they were mocking me. I shrugged that off as well, and I continued on. As soon as I passed the streetlight, I felt something tug my Carhartt that I was holding with my hands. That's when I started booking my way the fuck home. As I was running, I heard the same laughter as earlier. I ran all the way home without looking back once. I grew up in suburban Connecticut, in a town where pretty much everyone's house is 19th century or older, and I saw numerous things that left me wondering in these creaky old fuckers, but there's one that sticks out prominently. A friend whose house predated the American Revolution threw a party in high school. So we get there, start drinking and having fun. Now I must note that there were 2 rooms connected to the kitchen. The living room, which was at our backs, and a smaller room that was being renovated and painted, which only had boxes and paint supplies on the floor. The smaller room was enclosed on all 4 sides by the rest of the house. Therefore, it had no windows of any kind, and the door was wide open. Me and 2 friends were leaning on the kitchen island facing the open door, pouring shots, when all 3 of us saw a bright blue flash from the middle of the empty room. It looked, for all intents and purposes, to be a camera flash. I looked at them to confirm that they had seen what I had seen, and they certainly had. We immediately went over into the room, but there was nothing and no one in there. Everyone else was in the living room, and could not have made that flash in any way possible. Still boggles me. In the late 90s, I attended a conference at Norwich University in Vermont for a week-long seminar. Norwich is a military-style university, and if I remember correctly, used to be, or is, an all-male school. Upon arriving, we were instructed that certain dormitories were haunted and that supernatural things occurred frequently. We were also told that the basis of the hauntings was cadet suicides over the years. We were even taken on an impromptu hauntings tour, which involved showing us a number of boarded areas of dorm halls and rooms. I didn't buy it. I was roomed with a rather large fellow in one of the dorms in the main area of campus, and quickly found he snored like a freight train. My first night of sleep was miserable, so in the morning I snuck off in the dorm to find an empty room. Luckily, there was one right down the hall that was not spoken for. I moved my stuff in and headed back to the conference. That evening, I went to bed without issue, but was awoken in the night by what sounded like a chair being moved in the room. Having not slept the night before, I was so tired that I thought nothing of it. The next day, I was still feeling exhausted, so I decided to head back to my room after lunch for a little siesta. I passed right out. I was awoken by a seminar goer telling me to wake up to get back after about an hour. Only I wasn't. As I lifted from my slumber, I saw the figure of a young man sitting huddled with his arms, grabbing his legs at the foot of my bed. He was speaking, telling me to get back, to leave. I thought it was a dream for sure, and I rattled myself awake. He didn't leave. It freaked me out. I moved back into the room with the snorer. I don't believe in the supernatural, and have no idea what happened. As an atheist, I'm inclined to believe something misfired in my brain after hearing all of the stories, and when combined with sleep deprivation, that was the result that was produced. Nevertheless, I experienced it in a true fuck this moment. I have significantly less information to back it up, but it's something more of a local legend where I'm from. The Worcester State Hospital in beautiful Worcester, Massachusetts. Supposedly, the place is haunted. It was built as an insane asylum, but the word is that many patients were terribly abused. Shackles lined the basement walls where patients would be held for days. It is said that satanic rituals were held in these basements, and patients would be taken down there for God knows what during these ceremonies. I actually used to work on the same grounds as this hospital. It's about a 5-minute walk. In a hotel named the Beechwood Hotel. Speaking from personal experience, there is some legit creepy energy that is generated from this hospital, and it affects its surroundings. I was a dishwasher at the Beechwood, and would often stay until 1 o'clock in the morning, when most people had gone home, just cleaning up the kitchen. There were numerous times when I would see something out of the corner of my eye, a shadow, and I would turn, and there'd be nothing. I never ever thought anything of it. It was usually in the same area, a hallway behind the kitchen that led down into the hotel lobby. After a few months, myself and a few of the kitchen's chefs ended up quitting, and we all found jobs in a small restaurant in downtown Worcester. Well, one night, one of the chefs and I were talking about the Beechwood, and he started talking about some of the crazy shit that happened in that hotel. A man supposedly hung himself in one of the guest rooms. Another attempted suicide. And the most chilling story, a dishwasher once stabbed his girlfriend to death in that same hallway where I always saw something out of the corner of my eye. I never believed in supernatural things up to that point, and I am extremely grateful that I never believed in them while I was working at the hotel.